This is my poem writing. Before I read it to you, I'll talk to you a little bit about deletion and where I got my idea from. Deletion is where you delete or take out parts of your writing that don't really fit. For example, I deleted, and I looked down, and there were only 2 sentences. What a disappointment! Out of my poem, because it didn't exactly fit with the rest. I got my idea from just sitting in writing class, just writing, when suddenly I thought, hey, maybe writing, the word writing, could actually be a good idea for a poem. So I tried it out, and this is what I got. My fingers itch, waiting to pick up my pencil. It's like a race, my fingers starting their engines, the blank page my racetrack. When I'm given the okay, my fingers grab my pencil, hoping to write the longest story. And when I'm done, I set down my pencil, steam coming from the end and my fingers cramping. This is my poem, Paper, but before I read it to you, I'll talk about metaphors and delicious words. When I was thinking about metaphors, I thought, what could be as smooth as paper? Paper is always very smooth, with hardly any wrinkles. Then I thought about the surface of a lake. It doesn't really have any ripples when you look across it. So I tried the 2 together, and they sounded very good together. When I was thinking about delicious words, I thought about words that filled me up, and that they just felt good in my mouth. Words such as create, secrets, masterpiece, and lines. Here's my poem, Paper. It has a smooth surface, smooth as the surface of a lake. It comes in many colors and patterns too. It can have lines, some lines, many lines, or none at all. At your signal, a masterpiece can appear, or it can just be a tiny dot. It holds many secrets. You just need to create them. Here's my poem, Soup. But first, let's talk about delicious words and what an ordinary to extraordinary poem is. This is an ordinary to an extraordinary poem because I was just taking something boring, soup. You don't really look at soup like it's something, oh wow, and awesome, but it's just some liquid and it's tasty. Well, in this poem, I turned some boring soup into something extraordinary with lots of color and excitement. Delicious words that I used in this poem, I tried to make it seem as though you were actually eating soup. Here's my poem, Soup. It's liquid, lighter than air. It looks boring, plain, but it fills you with happiness, joy, flavor, and warmth with one taste. Add anything to it, then try some. You might surprise yourself. This is my poem, Cardboard, but before I read it, I'm going to talk about vivid words and ordinary to an extraordinary poems. When I was writing this poem, when I was thinking about vivid words, I thought of words that really describe cardboard, how it's flat and brown. This is an ordinary to an extraordinary poem because I was just taking something ordinary, cardboard. Well, you don't really think of cardboard as something extraordinary. Think of it as something that's just brown, boring, useless. But I turned it into something extraordinary with lots of detail. This is my poem. Its hard surface reminds me of the flat side of a rock. It looks brown, boring, useless, but it can be anything. Crown, castle, coins, building, tons of endless possibilities. This is my poem, Skiing, but before I read it to you, I'm going to talk to you about why this is a personal narrative poem and about the steps that I went through when I made this poem. The first time I tried out this poem, I just had a couple of lines, maybe 6 lines, and then I tried it out as a 6-rim poem, which made me add more and more lines. Then I deleted some lines that didn't exactly go, and then I finally came out with the poem that I'm about to read you. This is a personal narrative poem because I was just flipping through my writer's notebook, trying to find some ideas for poems, when I came across the personal narrative that I had written that talks about the first time that I skied. This is my poem, Skiing. I soar down the slopes like a bird in the sky. I feel the icy sting of snow on my face. I hear the whistling of wind ringing in my ears like the whistling from a flute. I see the tall pine trees blooming over me. Shadows, shadows. The smell of mint hangs in the air. I smile, glad to be here in my dream. This is my poem, Dogs, but before I read it, I'm going to talk about focus and vivid words. When I thought about vivid words, I thought about words that really described dogs and how they're always loyal, and I tried to make it seem as if you were really with a dog. When I thought about focus, I was really just focusing on the dog's qualities and how they're loyal. Here's my poem. They are great companions, always by your side. They are easy to teach, always listening. They come in all shapes and sizes, fat and skinny, big and small, tall and short. They will always be your friend, no matter what. This is my poem, Moving, but before I read it, I'm going to talk about vivid words and onomatopoeia. When I thought about vivid words, I thought about words that really described how you're probably sad when you move away, that you have to get used to a new school and new friends and a new house. The onomatopoeia in this poem was describing how a telephone sounds when it rings. This is my poem. Moving can be hard. New school, people, place, house, room, neighborhood. Friends, so far away. Nervous butterflies in your stomach. Best friend calls. Hearing the voice of your friend makes you smile. Everything will be all right.